All right, guys, we are this close, about, I don't know, 16 hours or so away from the opening tip of the NCAA tournament. I'm not counting last night's games or tonight's games as the opening tip. Tomorrow, Thursday, St. Patty's Day is, to me, the official start of the NCAA tournament, the greatest sporting event of the year, without a doubt, especially for sports bettors. You've got sports on, you've got these games going on from about noon until the wee hours, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, whenever the last game finishes. And we get that Thursday and Friday. And then we get a whole slew of games come Saturday and Sunday. Ton of games to bet. Plus, you've got all your brackets and all the other pools that you're involved in. I do a Calcutta style pool every year, which I did not get into this year because I'm not up in Brooklyn. And I've been so busy here with the app and other things that I just did not have time to prep early enough for that. They do it on Monday. Just did not have time to run all the numbers I need to run for that pool. But if you've never been involved in a Calcutta style pool, it's my favorite. We do it for all the golf majors as well. The pool that we get into up in Brooklyn is steep. Gets up to, it could be upwards of $750,000 to $850,000 in some years. So what happens is you bid on a team, the highest bidder. It's like an auction. You start with the worst team. You bid on those teams. The highest bidder winds up winning that team. You own that team at that price. All the money gets thrown into a pot, and then you get paid as your team advances beyond the Sweet 16. So when you get to the Sweet 16, you get 1% of the pot. You get an additional 2% to get to the 8, and then an additional, I believe, 4% or 5% it is, so on and so forth. You wind up with somewhere around 42% of the pot if you can get the correct winner. And that's a pretty nice chunk of change when you're talking about $800,000. So that's always been a fun pool. We go in with a group of guys, and being there live is really some of the you need to actually see it and witness it in person. But unfortunately, I could not get up to Brooklyn this year. Too much going on here. I'm going to miss out on that pool, which is one of my favorites. The worst day of the year is getting knocked out of the Calcutta in March Madness. So anyway, good luck to those guys who are in it. A couple of my buddies who did get in. Hopefully they can cash big. So anyway, that pool, I've got, of course, a ton of brackets. I run a few other pools that I've got going on, just, friends and family sort of thing. But I want to go over brackets with you guys and what the game theory is behind them. Hopefully you guys read the articles. I wrote 2 articles this week. One is where I eliminate a bunch of teams just based on historical statistics. Does it hold true all the time? Of course not. You've got the anomaly years where you just can't, it just doesn't always work. Last year was a beautiful year. We had all the 1 seeds were stayed alive, and it worked out really well because if you took Baylor to kind of get off of Gonzaga, of course, Baylor won. A lot of people were on Gonzaga, way more than there are this year. Gonzaga was a bigger favorite last year. If you were ever to differentiate yourself a little bit with Baylor, you had a shot to win your pool. I won mine. It's like 100, maybe 115, 125 people on a yearly basis in that pool. So I usually put about 5 entries in. I'm going to get to all that, though, how you should be looking at that right now. So let's just talk about it. I'm going to talk brackets now. Know the rules. Understand the scoring. I tell you guys this all the time with all sorts of pools. Understand the scoring and how it works in your pool. And that's going to determine how you're going to play, right? A lot of these pools have a bonus for the seed. I know the pool I have run forever has a bonus for the seed, wherein there's a 1 point for the first round, 2 points, 4 points, 8 points, 16, and 32. You multiply those points that the round is worth by the seed. So if you get a 5 seed to advance just as far as a 1 seed, you're going to get 5 times the points that 1 seed is. So that's hugely important. It's going to give you some incentive to take teams that aren't necessarily the 1 and 2 seeds to go deep. So understand your rules. If you're in a pool where that doesn't matter, there's going to be more emphasis on taking the chalkier teams. How many total entries are in the pool? Hugely important as well. Like I said, the pool that I've been running for years is about 100 to 125 people. I like to have somewhere between 2 and 5% of total entries in the pool. So I always put 5 entries in that pool, right? That gives me a little bit of a chance to diversify a little bit. I don't have to have the same champion. I don't think I've ever put in the 5 entries the same champion. I like to mix it up. I play this like DFS, right? So you have to play the the same game theories that apply to DFS are going to apply here in your bracket making. Now, if you're in a small pool, you're going to view that more as a cash game, right? So if you're in a pool with 20 people, 20 entries, let's say, you're only going to want to put one entry in. You don't need multiple entries in a pool like that. I wouldn't put two. One is perfectly fine there, right? Because the pot's not going to be big enough. So you put the one entry in, and you want to go pretty chalky. And by chalk, what you're going to want to do is look at the ESPN. Now, if you go in both of the articles, I believe I linked to it, ESPN has a webpage where it shows you exactly what every person who has entered an ESPN bracket has put. So you'll get all the percentages that each team is picked to go to whatever round it is that they're picked to go. If you go read the article, it'll be a little bit more easy to understand, but you're going to see whatever the percentage is may be differing from what the odds are on that team advancing. I'm going to get to that in a little bit, but let's just talk about the small pool cash game style. You're actually going to want to mimic what's going on the national scale, right? You don't want to take many chances. You don't want to go out on a limb. You want to play it chalky, and you want your opponents to take the chances, just like DFS cash games. You want to take the less risky picks, the picks that everybody else is going to be on, and then let someone else take a crazy pick, and they don't understand the game theory behind it. You're going to have a chance to win a small pool with taking chalky picks, right? So if it's 20 people in a pool, 30% of the public is out there taking Gonzaga. You really only have to beat now 6 people if that translates to your small pool. If there's only 6 people with Gonzaga, you being one of them, you really only have to beat those 6 people if you're on Gonzaga. To do that in a larger pool, you now have to beat, let's say in a 100-person pool, 30 people. It's going to be a little bit more difficult, and being chalky, you're never going to get there. So go chalky, small pool. Now, for a larger pool, that's where we want to play more of a GPP style. All right, it's more the DFS GPP, where we're going to have to take some chances. And that's where we don't want to follow exactly where the market is. We want to differentiate ourselves from the market. Now, how do we do that? What we want to do is take the most probable teams to advance to a certain point. Let's start with the championship. All right, so I like to work backwards. I mentioned this in the article. I work backwards. Excuse me. So when I'm looking at these pools, I'm going to pick my champion first. Now, I'm going to talk to you as if you're putting one entry in a large pool, 100-person pool, 200-person pool, and you only have one entry, right? With one entry, we're going to play this a little bit differently than if we have multi-entry. So let's talk about one entry right now. With the one entry, you are almost going to have a unique, and by unique, I mean maybe not the top picked team to win it all. And that's going to depend on what the probability is of that team winning. But usually, the number one team, the number one favorite, is going to either be at the market or above the market as in terms of how many people are taking them compared to the probability of them winning. Now, if you want to know the probability of them winning, there's several models out there. You could go to KenPom, which is extremely popular. 538 has a really good model that I like. You can then also use, which normally I like to use Vegas odds, or in these days, it's not just Vegas, DraftKings, FanDuel, use their odds. But the difficulty with them is you're going to have to adjust for the juice, and there's a lot of juice on the futures. So it's a little bit more work, and probably for not as much of a gain as you might imagine. So I would take one of the models that is out there for you online, use those, use 538. I tend to use 538. But also, if you want to take a combination of everything and do an average, that works as well. But 538 actually uses some KenPom, some Sagarin. It uses a little bit of everything to come up with its number. So I kind of like that one for that reason. They also take injuries into account on that. So have a look at that, and then that's where you're going to be able to compare what the probability is on 538 of a team advancing to whatever round you're looking at, and then compare that to ESPN. And then on ESPN, you'll see a number. So for instance, you're going to see perhaps a team is a 10% probability on 538. I believe this is the case for Kansas. They're about a 10% probability to win the entire thing. And you're getting an 8 and change probability being taken to win the whole thing on ESPN's brackets. So you're getting a little bit of an edge there. In your 100-person pool, you might only have 8 or 9 people who take Kansas. They're the second choice. So now you really only have to beat 8 or 9 people in the pool, and they've got a 10% chance of winning, right? So I have won, I believe, I've won this pool 3 or 4 times in the last 25 years, which is pretty good. I won it last year, like I said, and I believe, definitely the last 2 times I won with the second choice. That's the sweet spot, right? Because it's hard to win with the first choice, because like I said, you take a Gonzaga, I've got to beat 30 people. I need to have a better bracket than all 30 people who had Gonzaga. If I took last year, like I took Baylor, there was only a few people, I don't remember exactly what it was, maybe 10 people had Baylor, and I was able to have the best Baylor bracket. So now I'm going to talk about how you can get differentiate yourself if you are going to take the favorite. If you're going to take Gonzaga, then this is what I talk about, working backwards. Now, what's my Final Four going to be? Well, I'm taking Gonzaga. As of right now, they're about a 27% chance to win and about a 27% pick rate over on ESPN. So it's about flat. In my multi-entry, I have 5 entries in my pool. I will have some Gonzagas, but my Gonzagas will not be chalky as I get further back into the tournament or earlier in the tournament, right? But in my mind, I'm looking at it from the championship and I'm working my way backwards. So I'm looking at the championship game. If I take Gonzaga, I don't want to have all the other chalk teams with Gonzaga. So I can have Gonzaga as the champion, but I'm going to have to mix in some longer shots, especially in my pool where the seed matters, because I'm going to be multiplying the points by the seed. So if you're going to take Gonzaga as a single bullet in a large pool, you absolutely must differentiate yourself. You can't go chalky. So you can do the Gonzaga pick. And then where you're going to pick up on the field is if you take a team like a Houston, an Iowa, Illinois, Texas Tech, a team that may or may not be getting the amount of respect that should be warranted based on where the models are. So, right, so you're going to have to check that out in my article. The article I did yesterday really outlines that, where you're getting the value. But right now it's like Houston, Iowa. Those were the teams where you're getting quite a bit of value. Does it mean those teams are going to win? No. But what you want to look for to get to the Final Four, or really to get to whatever round you're looking at, because you're going to do the same process working your way all the way back, is what team has the best possibility, the best probability of getting to this point, yet is being taken less in the market. Okay, so let's give you an example. I might as well try to look it up. I've got so many windows open with doing all this work here today, but I've got a spreadsheet here somewhere that has it, and I don't have it up on my screen. It would take me a minute to do that, so I apologize. But go ahead and read the article, and you'll be able to see that. But yeah, right now, so you have like Iowa and Houston are teams. Michigan, even as a team in the earlier rounds, where the probability of that team advancing maybe to winning 2 games is better than what the market is giving them. So check out ESPN, check out my article, and check out 538 to figure that out. I don't want to fill out your brackets for you. I don't want you guys to copy my bracket. Not that I don't want you to copy my bracket, but it's fun to do your own bracket. Okay, so as another example, I have 10 entries on DraftKings in their brackets. I go a lot closer to the market. As a matter of fact, I'm over on Gonzaga in that pool because I'm going to be well diversified. I think 6 of my 10 champions are Gonzaga in that pool because I'm much more diversified in my Final Fours, right? So you can do that, and you can do that with a single entry. You can throw the bullet at a Gonzaga, but you better have a couple of teams making it to the Final Four or earlier. Perhaps you like, this is the beauty of DFS, and it's the beauty of the brackets, why I like it so much, is because you can have a little bit of creativity. So maybe your differentiator is early on. You like a 12 or 13 seed to win 3 games. Well, that's going to set you apart. If you have that, if you can hit that long shot, you're going to now have a Gonzaga that's potentially above all the other Gonzagas, because you're really playing the pool against everyone who has your champion. Now, it happens where if a Houston makes it this year, they're a 5 seed in a pool like mine where you get the benefit of multiplying the seed by the points. You may be in a situation where Houston makes it to the Final Four, and that's as far as they get, and the person picks them to win the whole thing. They may still win the entire pool because they picked so well, and then they're getting so many points just to get Houston to the Final Four. That happens. I've seen it in years like Indiana, 20 some odd years ago. I think it was an 8 seed, made it to the championship game, and I had a female cousin of mine who doesn't watch any college basketball. Took Indiana. She took Kentucky and Indiana, and Indiana goes and makes the run, and she's getting just a ridiculous amount of points for Indiana getting there. So she had the wrong champion, but was able to still win the pool. That's going to happen on occasion, but for the most part, you're going to need the champion in order to win your pool, as long as there's not huge upsets. So if you can differentiate yourself in your earlier picks, that's going to help you get above. Now, this goes for not just this bracket, it goes for DFS, goes for anything, any gambling that you're doing, any risk taking. If you're not willing to lose, and not only are you not willing to, if you're not willing to lose, but you're not willing to come in last place or be terrible, then you're probably not doing it right. What happens is most people fill out the brackets, they have the right mindset of, well, not the right mindset. We'll get to that one in a second, but they have the mindset of, I'm going to go into this and I'm going to just try to pick who's going to win, who I think is going to win. And naturally, I think Gonzaga is going to win. And you start going through it and you're like, well, Baylor made it to the championship. Ooh, Arizona is the number 2 team. They're probably going to be really good. Next thing you know, you've got 3 1s and a 2 in the finals, or maybe even all 4 1s in the Final Four. And because you are afraid, you can't foresee the better teams in the tournament losing, even though it happens every year. And because you're putting money up, if you don't have that ability to take a risk. So probably one of the best attributes I have is my ability to just kind of tune out that whatever it is in my brain or all of our brains that has that, I could lose money here. Like, I don't have that, and I just am able to do it. But I think I may have just trained myself to get myself into that situation, right? You have to be able to find value, bet value, and be willing to take things as they come, right? When I play poker, no matter if you're playing at the stakes that you're comfortable playing, no matter what the bet is, if the odds are in my favor, I need to make that call, right? We're on the river. There's no more cards to be shown. And if I do all my analysis and I know that I'm getting paid more than the probability of whatever it is of me winning, right? If I'm a 50-50 here, I'm 50-50 in the situation. Half the time he's going to have me beat. Half the time I've got him beat, but I'm getting paid 4-1 on this bet. Well, obviously I have to make that bet. That's how I do everything, all sorts of gambling that I do. It's all about the value. It's all about the numbers. And of course, your gut, your science, or your gut, the artistic creativity aspect of it does play into it in some way. And certainly here in brackets, DFS for sure, right? There is some creativity, and a little bit of knowledge helps. But what I'm getting at is, don't pigeonhole yourself. Don't get yourself in a situation where you're just scared to make the risky pick. But you're going to do the risky pick in an educated manner. You're going to look at the numbers and find out, hey, who's the team that's really likely to win, or who's a team that's the most likely. And when I say likely, 10% chance of winning is not likely. You're 1 in 10, but they're the second best choice. Even Gonzaga right now, if they're a 25% chance to win, that means the rest of the field has a 75% chance to win. We overvalue the favorite. When the favorite gets knocked out, we just get shocked. It's like, well, the odds are pretty good that Gonzaga is not going to win this tournament, right? They're only 25% to win. If you were 25% to win one game, you were a 3-1 underdog to win a game, you'd be shocked if that team won the game. If Gonzaga wins the entire tournament, you wouldn't be shocked. So you got to put things in perspective. All right, so we're talking about the game theory. The other thing, the flip side of that is, and I see this all the time in brackets, and I see it in DFS. You guys who play DFS, you see this as well, is you take the most insane bracket of all time. And like I've always said, you don't need to go crazy in order to get yourself to be differentiated from the field. You can take Gonzaga and then differentiate yourself with having a Houston, an Iowa, a Tennessee, having some of the teams that do have a chance to get to the Final Four but aren't being taken as much. All right. And then if you have those teams in the mix, let me look at the numbers right here, and I'm just going to give you an example. If we look at a bracket, bear with me, right? So let's say you had Gonzaga I'm going to just say that they're 25%, right? That the models are saying that they're 25% to make it. Let me see what the probability of Houston is. And again, apologies because I got so many windows, been working so much on this stuff, right? So the probability of Houston getting to the Final Four is 15%, right? So let's just go this way. So we've got Houston's got a 15% probability to get into the Final Four. Let's just say the final game. All right, so who plays? It would be Houston. Yeah, Houston could face, right? The South would face, yes, the South would face Gonzaga. Let's just say Houston at an 8% probability. And you've got, actually what we want is the ESPN numbers. Sorry, guys. We want the ESPN numbers because what I'm trying to get to is I want to show you guys exactly what the odds are that someone else in your pool is going to have the same thing. So let's just throw we'll make it simple and say that the numbers are kind of where 538 is, because I can't find my ESPN. It'll drive me nuts. I might as well find it. Anyway, if the market thinks that if the market's taking Gonzaga at 40% and they're taking Houston at, let's say, 10%, or it's actually less, I think it's like 5%. So the probability, well, what you're going to have, not the probability, but the amount of people in your 100-person pool is probably going to be, if there's 40% of the pool is taking Gonzaga to get to the Final Four and 5% of your pool is taking Houston to get to the Final Four, you're just going to multiply those two numbers. And that should, if your pool is the same, that should give you the amount of times that you're going to have that combination, right? So it would be 2%. So if you're in a 100-person pool, there might only be 2 people who have a Gonzaga with Houston in the finals. And the reason I bring that up, right, is because, and that's just 2 of the teams. So the chances are whatever other 2 teams you pick are not going to be, no one's going to have that exact Final Four. Once you start taking teams that are down in the 10%, 5% picked range, it's very hard for someone to match your exact Final Four. And when you have the team now, like a Houston, like an Iowa, like a team where you're going to build a ton of points, that's why you're going to differentiate yourself and have a much better chance of winning. Now, the more chalky you get, the more risk you need to take earlier in the tournament. If I was going to take the 4 favorites to get to the Final Four and I was in a 100-person pool, I can still do that, but that means my risk now is earlier in the tournament. So like I'm taking a risk on a Houston to get to the Final Four at 8%. There's an 8% chance they get to the Final Four. Well, I can find a team earlier. Let's look at 538. And again, sorry for not bringing this up on the screen, but let's say earlier in the tournament, there's Illinois has got a 17% chance. Arkansas has got an 8% chance, right? Not necessarily, I don't like Arkansas here. They have an 8% chance of getting to the Elite 8, right? So, or winning, is this winning the Elite 8? Hold on, this is to get to the second round, get to Sweet 16. Yeah, get to the Elite 8, 8% chance, right? So if you're taking, let's try to take a long shot here with a better, like Virginia Tech has a 7% chance at 11th seed. UNC is an 8 seed, has a 9% chance of advancing. So just looking at some of the teams where you're getting, and I'm thinking about it, like Michigan's a great one, an 11 seed with an 11% chance. Like if you just take them to get to the Elite 8, that's going to get you the points potentially you need to win with that chalky bracket. So you don't have to go totally crazy. You don't have to go wacky. You don't have to get every long shot. You're going to put all the 12 seeds into the Final Four and you're going to have some crazy team winning. You can go chalky, but remember, as the chalkier you get at the end of the pool, the more risk you have to take early, right? So now to that, the other thing I like to do in these pools, especially the ones where I'm getting value on the seed, is I want to get rid of teams. If I have a 2 seed that I don't think is going to go much further than the Elite 8, and I'm getting points for the seed, I will have that team losing either the first or second round. Same thing with a 1 seed. I don't ever have the 1 seed losing the first game, but have them lose to the 8 or 9 seed if I don't like them to go past that game much more. I'm only getting, in my pool, I'm getting 2 more points for them to win that game. If I can potentially catch an 8 or a 9 seed winning, that's a 16 or an 18-point win, plus the fact that I'm going to get that much of an edge over a huge chunk of the pool. If 85% of the pool is going to take that 1 seed or that 2 seed to win 3 games and they only win 2 games, or they only win their 1 game and then lose that second game, right? I'm just gaining a huge amount with just very little risk. I'm only going to give up 3 points to the field because I had that 1 seed losing anyway. I'm only giving up 3 points to the field. And when I'm right, it puts me in such an advantageous position, right? And there's a lot of ways to analyze your expected value on points. I do another thing where you take the model, take your point system, and if there's a 70% chance that this team makes it to this round, whatever the points are worth for that round, you take the 70%, multiply it by the points for that round. Let's say it's 4 points for that round. They have a 2.8 expected points in that round. Then the next round, let's say they are a 30% chance to win that game. You're going to get, let's say, 4 points or 8 points, right? For, what did I say? Yeah, 8 points in the next round, right? And they're down to a 30%. Now you've got 2.4 expected value on that. You can then figure out what the expected points are in relation to all the other teams, and then you could even get more complicated and then compare that to the other pool, like the other participants, on what you're anticipating based on the ESPN numbers. I don't want to get into all that now. That was the spreadsheets I was working on today, where I just kind of put all that in there, and it's really not going to give you much different than just looking at the just comping ESPN to a 538 or any of the other models and seeing where the biggest differential is in that round. If you're getting 5%, like I said, 5% of people taking Houston and 8% probability, you've got that little gap there. You've got that little edge. Arizona is the team that's being overtaken, taken more than the models like. Arizona's a pretty good team, but the models don't like Arizona. So we'll see on that. At least the 538 model does not like Arizona. So that's one that I've been avoiding. I do have a little bit of them, but I'm definitely going to be underweight on that one. So just a little bit of the game theory, hopefully not rambling too much on here for you guys. If you have any questions, hit me up in the Discord. I think I pretty much went over all, everything I really wanted to go over with you guys the night before, a little cram session on your brackets. Let me think. Did I miss anything? No, that's an important one, though. The one that last one I went over, which is if you're taking a low seed or a high seed to not go very far, eliminate them earlier in your pool, because that's going to give you a huge edge. If you have the 1 seed just making it to the Sweet 16 and then losing, have them not get knocked out this weekend, right? You're giving yourself much more potential points than would be. Also, the other one quick thing is do check out the point spreads. Don't just look at what the seeds are. Look at the point spreads. Oftentimes, you're going to see a team. There's not too many of them here this week. I think Michigan might be the only one where they're the lower seed, but they're favored in the game. But do be on the lookout for that. Even you're going to find some 12-5 games where the seed where the point spread is not that big of a difference. And don't fall into the whole thing with 12 seeds always beat 5 seeds. It actually works exactly the way it should. The 12 seeds do beat 5 seeds seemingly every year, but they win at a very normal expectation as to where they should. There's a lot of misnomers. Not going to get into all that now. Hopefully, you guys get a little bit better idea, a little get to look inside my head what I'm thinking about when I do these brackets. It's really not about figuring out, a lot of people want to, in all aspects of sports betting, everyone wants to show how smart they are. I know what the matchup is. These guys play the 2-3 zone, and these guys play man, and this is a great outside shooting team, and the matchup's not good. That's great. I mean, it's fun. That's what, no one wants to sit at the bar and talk about their game theory and why they took a certain team. You'd much rather say, you know what, I took this team because I like the point guard, and he had great matchups all throughout the tournament. Yeah, you sound like a genius. We all like that, but I like to win. And this is the best way I know to win. It's been successful for me in the past. So listen, guys, good luck. Head over to Discord and ask me any questions you want. I'll be up late and certainly early tomorrow morning, finishing up brackets. I've got a bunch of them to do tonight and tomorrow morning. So any questions you guys may have, be on the I'll be on the lookout for them, and I'll chat with you guys in Discord. So good luck. Let's win some money on the NCAA tournament. Looking forward to it, guys.